Okay, hi everybody, my name is Zach. I've got a company, I'm the founder of Zackees, electronic wearables, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about what the company is and our first product. In a nutshell, we have our first product is the turn signal gloves. It's a safety device for cyclists, runners, and skateboarders. Our first product is going to be launched via the crowdfunding, either Kickstarter or Indiegogo, late fall or early winter. The estimated price is going to be $69 for the base model, and the gloves here are covered under 2 patents, utility and design. This is what the gloves look like. We started off with a crowdfunding video that we didn't necessarily like that much. So I'm just going to show you what this is and kind of explain why we're going to go with a different direction. I don't know if anybody can hear that, but so this is my co-founder, Murat. Ambient light sensors, so they get brighter when it's brighter outside. Well, my gloves survived the rain. Okay, so that's the Kickstarter video that is not going to be, and the reason why that we're not doing that is because it turns out that one of the earlier prototypes was operating at 8 blinks a second, and the video that recorded it was at 24 frames per second. So that actually, what happened is that you can't really see the impact of the blink, and so we got to this stage and we said we've got to reshoot the whole thing, and so we got another director and we're going to take it in a different direction and relaunch with a different video that's more of an experience video. The concept is really simple, and what we realized is that we don't need all this talking for people to understand how great this is. We just have to have really attractive people using the product and showing how it makes life better. For me, myself, the way that I ride has been completely transformed by these gloves. I'm more aggressive and I feel that I'm safer. I don't bike, I ride an electric skateboard. And the way that it's impacted me and how I ride is, like, let's say there's a car that's parking in the bike lane, which is a common problem, and you need to go around him. Before, you were looking back and you're trying to make this eye contact with the person behind you and make sure that he understood where you were going. Well, now what I can do is I can lift up my hand and do the turn signal and keep on riding. And then when I look back, often there's a car pacing me. And that's really incredible because I feel that I can communicate with the other drivers on the road, which is something that I haven't been able to feel before during nighttime. Also, the stats on bicycle riding in the United States is growing, but in comparison to Europe, we're still very small. And so what we want is we want to make sure that these gloves is widely consumable within the Western European markets, and we felt that a lot of spoken English would turn them off, especially because I tend to talk really fast in the video. And so by having a more experienced video with very little dialogue and a few sprinklings of kinetic typography, what that's going to do is it's going to allow people in every language to be able to consume our video. And it's going to look a lot less infomercially, so we're hoping that that's going to increase its virality.
Is there a way that we could hear the music using your...
I'd have to set up Bluetooth and all this and pair it, and it's probably going to take 10 minutes.
So this is your PowerPoint presentation now?
Yeah. Just a few stats about the market. The number of trips made by bicycles more than doubled from 1.7 billion in 2001 to 4 billion in 2009. That's double-digit growth every year. From 2000 to 2010, bike commuting increased 63% in the 70 largest U.S. cities. More people are riding for utilitarian reasons, with transportation-oriented trips increasing from 43% of all biking in 2001 to 54% in 2009. This is a big one. Bicycling in New York City increased 102% from 2007 to 2011. During the same time, the city added 289 miles of bike facilities, and safety improved for all road users. That seems really incredible, but I'll just give you one statistic that's not up here. If you live in Germany and you commute, there's a 40% chance you're going to do that on a bike. That's absolutely incredible. So what is the goal of Zackees? And the number one goal is that we want to make lots of money. And there's other reasons. Obviously, I want to help make bicycling safer. I want to lower the carbon footprint of the average person. But we do want to make money. We do think that this is going to be a way of being able to do that. We don't find there's a lot of innovation right now in the cycling sector, especially in the accessories. And we think that we can use this first product to break in and have a really successful first product. But on a higher note, we want the future products that are come out, we want them to make lots of money by augmenting existing products with cheap electronics so that they are better than what they were before. We want to build an intellectual property portfolio from the innovations that enable our electronics to be embedded into clothing. And then we want to license that IP to enable wide distribution. So we want to be acquired by a larger company that can take our intellectual property and then create a whole bunch of gloves so that a lot more people can be reached than what our team can do. And we're going to do that by making products that people need. And the number one way to do that is to solve problems better than our competitors. So for example, what would be a competitor to this glove? The competitor to this glove would be turn signals that you can install. So if you were to buy a glove that was similar to this, it would be about $35 at REI. And then you're going to buy a turn signal mount, and that's going to be another $40. So you're going to be looking at around $70 for that solution. And that solution it requires installation, and it can get stolen, right? Who's going to steal these off your hands? Not a lot of people. And so we think that this is a superior solution because it doesn't require installation and it's protection from theft. The thing is that people also like to be noticed. There's a vanity aspect to having light up clothing. And I've kind of been down that journey with this thing and with some of the other stuff that I've made. People, I've got, this is the Sonic pack. I'll just explain this right now. and I can pipe music in it from my iPhone. And so wherever I go, I can kind of create a dance party, and people are like, where's that music coming from? And then they see this backpack lighting up with the music, and they're like, oh, it's coming from him. And then I'm kind of like the Pied Piper, and it's kind of made me a little bit of a celebrity in the Mission District because people recognize it. They have that wow moment, and then they see me again, and they're like, oh, you're that one guy, I saw you going through the BART or whatever. And so people like light-up clothing. There's a couple sticking points with the existing products out there on the market, and we're going to solve those, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So, actually, I'll get that to it right now. How are we different than the existing products on there? And at a high level, what we want, one of our main goals is that we want to eliminate the on-off button. The on-off button sucks, right? Where's the on-off button? And oh, I forgot to turn it off. And what happens is that you forget to turn off and the batteries drain. Well, our products, we're eliminating the on-off button. There's no on-off button. You just tap the buttons and they work, always. And we're able to do that by making them power efficient. So this is enabled by using low-cost sensors, which, for example, read the ambient light and enables us to throttle down the LED brightness at night, saving power. So the important thing to note is that brightness is very much different than the amount of power that you supply. So for example, if you look at a power curve for an LED versus brightness, what you'll see is that if you, a doubling of the brightness means that you have to pump in around 8 times more energy into that LED. So if you drop the amount of power going to the LED by half, the perceptual brightness is actually pretty close to what it was before. And so what we can do is we can say, hey, look, is it night, is it day? And then if it's night, we can drop that power by a whole lot. We're able to save a lot of energy and effectively quadruple or by 8 times the amount of length of power that we get out of that battery. And so what that means for the turn signal gloves is that we have a battery life of 3+ months with daily use. And that's really incredible because the batteries in here are really tiny. So what are the backgrounds of the founders? So my co-founder can't be here right now, but I'll just kind of explain for him. So for me, I'm the founder. I have a software engineering background, 5.5 years at Google. My claim to fame was that I brought Google Earth to the Audi navigation system. My educational background was in computer science, mathematics, and psychology at the University of Oregon, so I was a triple major. My co-founder has a background in hardware and firmware. He works at a design company called Nuvation, and they contract for circuit design. He's famous for engineering a BattleBot, and his major is in computer engineering, which is kind of a mix between hardware and software. I want to talk about why wearable tech excites us. And the 2 trends that make hardware startups much more attractive now than any time in the past is that prototyping is now much cheaper. It's actually really incredible how easy it is to get into hardware manufacturing and prototyping and just testing out a design. And 2, the crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo allow entrepreneurs access to bootstrapping capital without having to go through a seed round. So let me talk about that a little bit more. So what are the falling costs of prototyping? So the first thing is that microcontrollers are easy to program. This glove contains an entire CPU, memory, boot up, everything. And that chip is 43 cents. And we can just upgrade it whenever we want. People can get into programming these microcontrollers because of this one little tiny computer called Arduino, which is the easiest thing to program. And I've made a whole bunch of automatic lights in my house by having Arduino and hooking up with sensors so that when you walk into a room, the sensors turn on. And this is really my introduction into hardware programming, was this Arduino development. And so what this means is that more developers are entering the hardware space because it's never been as easy as it is right now. And when I mean easy, I mean like 20 times easier than it was before. I've tried to program these little things. I can't. It's impossible to set up. It takes a week to learn what's going on. And with the Arduino, you can have it set up in an hour. Industrial design tools are also more accessible. For example, the prototyping of these panels is done by, we take some spandex, we cut it with a laser cutter, and then we sew it. And this wasn't available 4 years ago, and now it is. And it especially is in San Francisco, less so in other parts. San Francisco is pretty amazing, but you could go down to Tech Shop and get a pass for $175 a month, and that gives you access to laser cutting, CNC routing, and 3D printing. If you want to do it at home, you can also buy licenses to the software that is used to do these laser cuts, which is the Adobe Illustrator and Autodesk design tools. And you can buy those, each one of those packages, you can buy Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop for around like $40 a month, which is something that's, I think, new this year. Also, there is the price of sensors is falling, and the tutorials are being developed that allow hobbyists to figure out how to get these sensors up and running really quickly. And the primary people that sell to hobbyists are SparkFun and Adafruit. And the great thing is that you can go to SparkFun and you can get a very detailed thing of what a sensor does, and then you can get example code of how you can just plug that in and get something up, that same day. And that's really incredible. The next part about why hardware is really exciting to us is really crowdfunding. Crowdfunding has been revolutionary because it solved a really major problem, and that is how do you get seed capital to work with to prove that your product is marketable. The problem with hardware startups is that we burn through a lot of cash, and the reason why we burn through a lot of cash is because prototyping, you've got to build your product, you build a batch of them, you see that whether it works or not, and you just burn a lot of cash going through these different gloves. We've gone through about 5 different designs of these gloves before we come to here. And when you have a bug, it's really, you've got to spend a lot of time trying to fix it, because you got to manually take those chips and bypass whatever went wrong, or throw it away and send it out for reconstruction. So also a problem is that traditionally when a hardware startup starts selling products, they have this inventory problem where their inventory, because there's not a lot of customers, they don't have the advantage of an economy of scale. And so what happens is that they're paying a huge price per unit, and they're trying to sell that, and the thing is, the customer's like, well, it's too high, and they're like, well, it's high because they are low volume, and so there's this chicken and the egg problem. They can't get enough volume to take advantage of economies of scale, and they can't get high volume because they don't have enough sales. And so what this means is that this means that there's a high risk for investors, because they've got to overcome, they need a lot of capital to build huge amounts of volume so that they can get at that economy of scale really quickly. And so that's the problem. And the way that crowdfunding revolutionizes this is that it solves this because entrepreneurs can market test an idea early on. Okay? We believe that this is going to be a huge success, but we don't know. And the VC doesn't really know. And so what we're able to do is we're able to go on to Kickstarter or Indiegogo and say, with a slick video, hey, this glove is really awesome, it's going to change your life, and then everybody, if the crowd really likes it, then they're going to come in and they're going to pre-order, $1 million worth of inventory, okay? And then that solves this problem right here, the economy of scale. Now they've got, like, let's say this sells $1 million on Kickstarter. That's going to be about 14,000 units, okay? I can go to my contract manufacturer and I can say, I want 14,000 light panels, battery boards, CPUs, gloves, everything, and they're interested in giving, and they're going to give me a really great price because I'm ordering so much stuff. And so then you're able to set up your manufacturing line with an initial high volume run, and then after that, the price per unit has been bootstrapped, and you're able to just keep that production line going with that initial run. Another thing is that if this is successful, then we're going to be able to retain all the equity because our seed round was effectively funded by our crowdfunding efforts. After that point, if we do attract VC investment, we've been able to reduce their risk because we go to them, we say, hey, look, there's no risk. This is a really popular product. We know because sales have been $1 million, in one crowdfunding campaign. And so the investor is going to be like, I like that, let's scale. Investors don't have really good imaginations until they see sales. Once they see sales and they're like, that's a great product, you're getting great sales, let's scale you, and then injects a lot of capital. Anyways, that concludes pretty much the talk, what Zackees is, what we're trying to do from a business standpoint. If you want more information, please visit us at our website, Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much. Any questions?
So do you just go like this and that's how it works?
So we actually have a contact switch. We started off with a button, but we didn't really like that button too much because it was hard to hit. And so what we did is this was actually half of our development cycle, was trying to figure out the perfect button. And what we discovered is that if we used a conducting rivet and then put medical wires into that rivet, that we could get a switch that felt really natural and had a really good feel to it. Like you can hear that click, and that lets you know that that's like a feedback mechanism to let you know that that's working.
So you have to keep clicking for it to keep
Nope.
working?
Once you click, that CPU is just going to keep on blinking it.
Do you plan on putting that turn signal into jackets and vests?
So it was interesting. The first product that we had out there, our first prototype was actually mounted on the shoulders with I think it's called a shoulder shrug. But we quickly realized that how do you wash this thing? It's on a position where you're going to have backpack straps, so it's going to break. And it just wasn't a really good solution. It was really hard to make. And then we thought about it, and we went, just put it on the hands. And so right now, we're not planning on putting it on a jacket. The next product that we'd want to do is put it actually on a helmet, and then have the gloves be able to signal to the helmet when you press this. And that way, what you can do is that you can signal in front of you while keeping your hands on the handlebars, and then your helmet is signaling behind you.
So when are your product going out? So
When is my, what?
See, so when are your product going into the market?
We're hoping to start our Kickstarter in the next 30 days. And then fulfillment will happen in the 6 months, so like April or something is when we expect to.
Yeah, because it's really cool.
Thank you.
Every time I win about electric bikes, every time I think that they're gonna hit me or something, I'm like, hello.
Hello.
Over there. Yeah, so every time I'm like, me there. So, yeah.
So I hope to see a pair of gloves on your hand.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have to be pink.
Do you have different design options or is that just that one?
We have a couple colors, sizes, and that's pretty much the SKU, like space. Once you start offering more colors, there's all these different SKUs that you have and complexity increases. So people want different sizes and they want a couple different colors. And they also want the ability to have a rechargeable option. So that's the different combinations that we have.
How much money are you trying to raise?
Well, officially, we're going to say that the minimal production run is like $35,000 for the minimum. But the reason why we want to do that is because media likes a success and people like backing winners. And so if we set our threshold at a very low value at $35,000, then we think that we're going to be able to hit that in one day. And then what's going to happen is that the next story cycle that comes out, the first story cycle is going to be, hey, these gloves are really awesome and I've used them. The next thing that's going to come out is, hey, they hit their target in one day. And then that continues the media cycle and that drives people to the product. Internally, what we hope is we want to hit $1 million mark in sales. And we want to have a profit margin around 50%. But we don't know whether we'll be able to hit that. It might, with all these, there's a lot of unknowns because I'm doing this for the first time. So it might get pushed down to 30 or 20%.
Are you guys working with any bicycle manufacturers at this point?
No, we've tried to reach out to a few of them, but they just ignored us.
They
Who knows?
always do.
What?
They always do.
Yeah, so
I highly recommend looking into Copenhagen.
Copenhagen for what?
Most of the people on bicycles. High percentage.
Good to know.
Really high.
You know, it's funny. TechCrunch Disrupt is having they're having an event in Berlin, and so I wanted to go out there, but it was really expensive, and we're burning through so much cash right now, and so we just figured that if we can push out product to the influencers and have them test it out before it comes out, then we can get 0-day articles. So, and hopefully we'll get a few readers in Copenhagen who buy the glove.
If you have a good video, I'm a graphic designer, so if you have a good video, you don't have to talk at all, because it's like a dummy thing.
Yeah.
You know, like ding, 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 ding. So it's really easy to understand what you're trying to sell. So if you do a good video and you get it on YouTube and your page, blah blah, people, you can buy it online. Like people in Europe will be like, oh, that's so cool. So they will.
I 100% agree to you, and that's the reason why the video that I showed today is not going up on the crowdfunding site.
Please.
Too much talking, right? And we just need to show the glove and have more. You know, like how Apple is more about like their commercials are more experience. Heineken is a very similar thing. It's just people, you know,
Coca-Cola.
yeah.
Everything is just experience.
Yeah, you don't try to, you don't try to convince you logically to buy the product. They just show how fun it is to use it, and we want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think for your, like, I'm sure you already thought about it, but like for your Kickstarter video, I think you should look into like meetup groups, like bicycling meetup groups. That would be a perfect target for you.
Yeah.
Like start going there, and then you start Kickstarter, you can actually project to those guys. So because they're bicycling anyway, it'll be very easy to find.
So one of the talent that we've connected with is actually a sponsored triathlete, and so he's going to be one of the people that we feature in the video. And the little text that we're going to have is he's not going to have any speaking role. We're just going to like introduce him as, you know, a sponsored triathlete, just to sort of speak to that crew that, hey, this is a really cool product. You should consider buying it.
And what
I'm
is your
talking about
market?
people who will pay for your Kickstarter campaign.
Who will?
Like, you know, like meetup groups, also like, you know, for hiking groups. I'm sure they have a lot of bicycling groups. So when you're ready to launch your Kickstarter campaign, you should launch with the meetup groups that are actually bicycle related.
Yeah.
These guys are already biking it. They go almost every week. They'll be much more easier to get them to invest into your company.
Right, exactly. And we're trying to get into those people. We don't have a lot of resources because we're a small company. So, you know, we're looking to get the gloves out so that influencers can tell their friends and can go to this meetup.
But who is going to buy your gloves? Like, who is your market?
So where's the market? So this is what we think the market is. We think that the market is going to be the 20 to 35-year-old male, you know, female that cycles to work. Okay, they got a lot of money, and they put a lot of money into their bicycles because they ride it every day. Okay. So they've got money to spend. The second one is going to be runners. The reason why we're going towards that is because it's just so large. Like everybody, so many people run, right? But it's not going to be that effective because it's not that necessary, but it's wide. The third demographic that we're going to are parents of skateboarders, right? Because how many kids wear helmets when they skateboard? Like none. Like I'm like the only guy who wears a helmet when I'm out skateboarding. And their parents really want their kids to wear safety equipment. And so the thing is that, you know, fashion is a safety feature when the article of clothing is for safety. And so kids love these things and they want to have it, and the parents are going to know that. So they're like, hey, you know, wear this glove, and they wear it, and then they go to school and they continue to wear it, and all their friends think it's really cool. So that's really the three demographics. Or the three market segments that we're going for. Commuters, runners, and parents of skateboarders.
Okay, so the video, it should be directed to the first market.
Yes.
So why are you making a triathlon guy speak?
A what?
You're saying something about the triathlon? Or
A triathlon. Well, the thing is that it's just because that's where the media is focused. Is triathletes, and those are influencers. And so like if a triathlete likes a certain type of carbon fiber bike or something like that, then commuters want that as well, right? It's like if the majority of people that buy Air Jordans are not NBA basketball players.
No, I know. But there are people that like basketball. But the people, well, like, okay, I said, like, if I see that video with like that guy, I'm like, okay. But that's just me, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
Have you considered partnering with any organizations like USA Cycling or to help?
I would love to. Yeah, I've considered it, and I just haven't done it. So if you've got a list of organizations, please, I've got a pad, and I'll write it down and reach out to them.
The other idea, just kind of top of my head, is there are a lot of companies that promote just commuting or like reducing the carbon footprint.
There's like SF, like a cycling commission or something like that.
I'm not sure what it's
Yeah.
called, but I know, for example, Cliff Bars actually buys their employees bicycles if they commute to work. So it's like one of the incentives for working there. So if you can contact these types of companies that are really all about, that different type of transportation, then I'm sure that could be a really great gift to add on to them.
And I agree. Yeah. And
Have you ever thought about collaborating with a third-party website like Fab or Touch of Modern once you have some inventory?
what's that?
Those are kind of flash sale sites, and if you have some inventory which you can control, it has a two-pronged effect. So they'll do a promo of your product for 5 days. They'll blast it out to all their customers. You'll get some sales, which is nice, but it also acts like a press release.
Oh, interesting.
And so I've done it with my company, and basically we picked up clients in Japan or Kuwait because they saw this and stores started coming.
Do you have to have inventory that you're sitting on, or can you do
control-
pre-sale?
You can control the inventory you want. So
Okay.
if you say I only have 10 and that's it for now, like you can control it and they'll blast it out. And these brands are always looking for new items.
So the way that we're thinking this is going to work is that we think that we're not going to have any inventory that we're going to be sitting on for the first 6 months to a year.
Right.
It's
It's a great way to gauge the market
yeah.
without any risk and time. And it's free marketing. Like if you sell 100 units or 10 units, that's great, but it blasts you out to literally hundreds of thousands.
I would love to talk to you more about that after all this. Robert?
Yeah, so did you, Kim and Nick, did you talk anything about your product roadmap going forward? Some of I still think that interoperability is going to be the one main thing for wearable technology, obviously.
Yeah.
I think because you come from Google, so I just think interoperability with the glass platform at some point as an option would be really cool. I think you would be able to do a lot of things with that. Or with another standard with something else, and you look at that on your product roadmap.
So we want to have some interoperability, especially between, like, we want this to be a data sender. So hey, there's an event going on where I'm trying to turn right, and we want to build other products that are able to pick that up, like a shirt or a helmet or something. Wireless communication is such a resource-intensive thing because you have to have FCC, UL, CE, stuff like that. That at this point we really can't take on that, but that's in a roadmap that for one of the next products is being able to have wireless communication with other products that we have. A lot of stuff that has that interoperability are things that are data loggers by nature. So for example, the Fitbit is a data logger. It tracks how many steps you have. So it makes a lot of sense to be able to upload that through an API into some sort of monitoring program because you want to visualize that data. With this, we don't have any sensors that log any meaningful data other than how bright it is outside and whether the button's been activated.
Yeah, I just think because I know that so you did great things at Google and things like that, and they have this this kind of lightning rod product.
The Google Glass.
The Google Glass
Yeah.
lightning rod product, and I just I know there's all these difficulties there. I think on a roadmap that would be something that people would kind of find very, very interesting, especially that hey you're from Google or however but it's interoperable with Google Glass or something like that. I think as a spin out from Google and then to go back into Google, I think that.
And I think that a company like Google Ventures, which right now is pushing really hard for Google Glass, they would love to see an ex-Googler that they can work with.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
So I love how functional these are and practical, being on the hands, you know, especially, and I used to do a lot more biking, so I feel like you kind of use the hand signals, but you have no idea if the car is actually.
No, yeah.
So it adds a little.
Like this is going right and this is going left.
Yeah, and it's really weird. I would usually just use my left and right anyway because it makes more sense to me. I'm just thinking of another area that you could look into if you haven't already is these kind of like big fundraising type cycling events, like touring events, like Bike MS, and then also for the American Diabetes Association. They happen across the country. They attract a lot of cyclists, everything from like really competitive professional cyclists to just casual people who want to get out and ride and raise money. And sometimes I think they even have like silent auctions and things at the end with interesting products. You know, that's one place you can get visibility, or you know, to put these on the hands of some of the more intense cyclists.
There's the Wounded Warriors Project, you know about that? It's for vets.
Like a vet, yeah.
Yeah, and they do a ride across country, and man, if you could get your stuff on them, I mean, just like a brand ambassador and sponsor them, just the PR component would be fantastic.
Right.
And safety and all that. And they're riding, they have media following them the whole way across country. And
Yeah.
it looks good for your brand.
It would look good.
They have similar events. I know just last Friday there was a bike event in San Jose. It's like masses of bikes. They close off the streets and they have different locations where they meet up, and like there's a DJ set up, and then from there they go to another spot and so on and so forth. I'm not sure what they're called. I can text and find out. But
Okay.
they have like so many bikers of all levels, and that's a perfect place just to even pass out some flyers, just some pictures of, you know, what your
Put them on a couple people and just get them going and have people like, what is that? You know, it's,
like you said, a brand ambassador.
yeah. These are all things that we need. You know, when we scale, hopefully we'll be able to get these brand ambassadors and have more of a PR, because I really do feel that this product is one of those that's it's going to scale really good with marketing. You know, you get people out there that just go and expose it out there, and people are just naturally want to have the glove.
Oh, there's a really beautiful story you can create with marketing for your gloves, just even how they're going all around the world. And
Yeah.
very cool product.
Cool. Thank you. Does anybody else have any? Yes.
What's the longevity of that glove, the material of the glove, and then can you take the technology out and put it into a new glove?
Yes. The longevity of the glove is, so it's made out of spandex. Little secret. This is actually Castelli 2014 that we retrofitted, right? And so we like the glove. This one's starting to get a little dirty because I've been wearing it for 3 months, but they're hand washable because we make the things water resistant. So you can wash the gloves and it's going to come out really nice. I haven't been able to destroy this glove, so I'm going to guess that based on the current usage, it's going to last for a year or two. So we're hoping that the electronics will match that lifetime of the glove. And your second question was moving it to other products?
I was wondering if it wore out before that, can you take the technology out and put it into another glove?
Not currently. We were thinking about having like an add-on where you could have whatever glove, and then it's a switch out the product. The reason why we didn't do that is because it provides us less control because there's more variables, and so we're control freaks who want to control the user experience. So we opted to go with this.
Is the battery replaceable?
Yes, the battery is replaceable. There's a little slit in here. You just push the battery out and replace it with another one. The next version of the glove is actually going to have a battery that has 3 times the capacity, and we're allowing rechargeable batteries to be put in, which we think are going to be, which will make because if you use rechargeable, the problem with electronics is those damn batteries, right? You take those batteries, it's like, oh, the battery's dead. Oh, now I got to go down to the store and buy like AAAs or something. If you have rechargeables, like that problem goes away. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to disable the power saving features when you put in a rechargeable. The microcontroller will actually detect what kind of battery's in there. And so what that means, instead of a 3-month battery life, you'll have like a 3-week battery life, and the light's going to be super bright at all times. And so, yeah.
Have you thought of adding more technology value into the gloves?
We have, and that kind of gets back to what Robert was asking about. We want to put a transmitter that outputs when you've got either the right or the left glove going, and that way we can have other products to integrate very well with that.
Other than you, has anyone else tested these out? You know, how are they in terms of comfort? If you've heard any kind of feedback? Because I imagine that's going to play a big part, you know, for your sales, because if people, they may find the functionality really cool that you can signal, but if ultimately the glove isn't very comfortable, then that may.
Comfortability is the thing that we're pretty much getting high marks on because we're using a really good glove. And we're hoping to keep that when we go to a contract manufacturer. We basically say, hey, this is what we want. Recreate this look and feel and change a few minor things. And the other question was, besides comfort, was...
Just if you've tested with any other...
I've been the main tester. My co-founder's been the other tester. We've had very specific breakages in the past due to how the wires were constructed. So the main part is that this is a really high flex point. Like you'll flex this tens of thousands of times. And wires break when they get flexed, normal ones. And so what we had to do is we actually had to find a wire that wouldn't break. So we looked at the medical industry to see what happens, because they run into this problem. They've solved it. And basically what happens is that they have stranded wires that are bundled together. And those strands are about the thickness of a human hair. And that increases flexibility. And so we take medical grade wire, we throw it in there, and that allows us to not have those breakages anymore, which is the reason why these gloves have been lasting so long.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you very much.